Hello and welcome back to Florida Foodie. I'm Candace Campos.
And I'm Lisa Bell. Our guest today is a Florida native and a private chef. Now, some of his clients have included people like Sir Paul McCartney. You may have heard of him before.
I think so.
As well as the Rolling Stones. He also works with local kids in our community, specifically at the Paramore Kids Zone.
Yes, Sevarrest Allen from Kitchen Savior is joining us now. Thank you so much for joining us, Chef.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you so very much.
Hey, we are so happy to have you here, especially because you brought some special treats with you that just smell amazing. So
We wish we had smell-o-vision like we always
we
say.
really do. Before we get into things, tell us what you brought today.
I made a cornbread waffle. It's actually a garlic and herb cornbread waffle. A little pulled pork and a purple cabbage slaw to go on top, and then we just kind of fancied it up a little bit and drizzled some barbecue sauce over the top of it.
This looks amazing. Where did you get? Why did you decide to pair this with waffles instead of a bun?
Okay, so chicken and waffles is a pretty popular
Right,
dish.
yeah.
But I'm more of a barbecue person. So, what way could you, or anybody for that matter, kind of bring in a different kind of bread or anything with your barbecue as opposed to a bun or a piece of bread? So I'm like, waffles might work. And usually if you get barbecue, you get a piece of cornbread depending on where you go, but there's some type of bread. So I was playing around the kitchen one day and I was like, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm gonna try this. She didn't think it sounded too good at first, I'm not gonna lie. And then I got in there and I kind of made the first waffle to kind of test it out. And I was like, okay, it's cornbread, so it tasted like cornbread. It was just in a waffle form, and pulled pork is pulled pork, and kind of need something to kind of bite through all of the heavy. So I was like, okay, a nice little vinegary slaw might go on top of it. So we tasted it first, kind of like small bits, and I was like, okay, cool, let's see what it looks like if I plate it. And so I made her a plate. She goes, it looks okay. And then my son, who likes food, he's 7 years old, he's like, Dad, that looks like a mess.
Kids say the darndest
Well, I mean,
things.
he's a very honest kid, but he's like, that looks like a mess. I was like, well, Sean tasted. So he's like, no, Dad, it's a good mess. It tastes really, really good. And it worked at my house, so I decided to try for a client. And so when I did it, they were like, kind of skeptical, like, why would you do a waffle? Just eat it. And then, like, the two people they ate, and they go, you know what, you might be onto something here. And so when I knew I was coming here today, I was like, what can I make that's kind of quick, kind of off the scale a little bit, and see if you guys kind of pay attention to it. But it's, it's that.
Oh, we're paying attention, all right.
I love me some waffles. I love me some pork. I love me some slaw. And I love me some barbecue sauce. So
There we go.
You know how to talk to my heart. So you born and raised here in Florida, Palatka.
Palatka, Florida, yes, ma'am. Born and raised. It's where I call home. That's where I, essentially learned how to cook. My grandmother is, I say, who kind of, taught me the ropes a little bit when I was probably 8 years old. Kind of go in the kitchen with her. She like, Sevarrest, watch the pots. Don't let my food burn. so you'd have to either sit at the dining room table and legitimately watch the pots, go peek at them, or go turn something in a pot or whatever. But that's kind of where I kind of got my love for food, is cooking in the kitchen with her. And plus, been a large-sized person my whole life. So, being a large-sized person, I figure, might want to learn how to feed yourself at some point. So we had to get in there and, get it how we live, as they say.
I love that. And I love that, she told you, don't be burning her food now.
And to this day, I do not burn food.
Good. Step number one about being a chef, don't burn the food.
Do not burn the food.
And it's interesting because a lot of people, I think parents especially, try to bring their kids into the kitchen to teach them the love of cooking.
Yes.
But not all kids like it. You always loved it, though.
Yes, always loved it. And even, now, my two boys, I have 3 boys, but I have a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Wow.
And my 7 and 4-year-old, they love to be in the kitchen.
That's
love.
awesome.
They love to eat too, but they love to be in the kitchen. They're like, if I'm standing there, Dad, what are we having for dinner? Can we help you make it? And they're like, they're a little bit of a food snobs.
Yeah.
They don't just want to make regular stuff. Like, hey, Dad, let's just make some, let's make a salad, let's make a sandwich. It's like, no, let's make strawberry mousse. Can we? Yeah, right? What? Yeah, let's make strawberry mousse. Let's make hush puppies. Let's do this. Can we do this? So it's like, they get it all they watch a lot of Master Chef Junior and other kind of stuff. They will sit and watch it religiously, sit there and just watch it episode by episode. So they're heavy into it too.
So how did you go from just cooking in your family kitchen to actually making a career out of this?
Oh, that was it. Because I've probably been a professional chef 12, 13 years now. So what happened was I was getting ready to get laid off from a job. They had, did us a favor and told us, hey guys, at this particular point, we're gonna lay you guys off. So, I was newly engaged And right around the time I was getting laid off was probably about a month or so before I was supposed to get married. So my wife, well, she's my wife now, she goes, you should look into going to culinary school. I'm like, well, why would I do that? Like
I already know how to cook.
Well, no, not even that. I was cooking was a legitimate hobby. Like I did
Yeah.
it, the de-stress kind of when I come home, like it was fun.
Yeah.
And usually you don't do fun stuff for your profession.
And when you were laid off, were you working in the food industry?
No.
Okay.
This is everything was brand new. So like she was like, you should just look into it. And so I, one of the few times I can honestly say I listened to her. I looked into a few schools. I looked into Valencia, and then back in that time, Le Cordon Bleu was here, and I went on a visit to Le Cordon Bleu, and I talked to the people there, and they took me on a tour, and I fell in love with the campus and the people there, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow.
It's amazing. I mean, and there's so many people who say, oh, you don't need to go to culinary school.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm one of those people. No, because they had a thing about it a few years ago in the Orlando Sentinel about is it worth the money? And me personally, I felt like it was because what I've done in my career has paid for my education tenfold.
Right.
And it's more so about getting the proper education as opposed to just kind of going in somewhere and learning with somebody who's been there 20 years and who probably doesn't have a culinary, piece of paper anyway. Like, oh, I've been doing this 20 years. This is how you do it. But it's like, no, when you go to school, they teach you proper ways. They teach you how to, just like if you guys went to college, they teach you how to speak when you're in front of a camera, just like they teach us how to properly dice, mince, julienne, all of that good stuff. So it's good to have the actual knowledge of the things that you're actually doing once you get out there into the field.
The full science of
Yes.
it behind it.
Yes,
Like
yes,
you were
yes,
saying,
yes.
I'm trying to cut this with vinegar, and
Right.
that you learn kind
Yes.
of the
Yes,
pyramid
yes, yes.
of cooking.
Yes. I've had quite a few chefs in my time kind of, burn certain things into my memory because they, different chefs have different palates and they want to make sure that, if you're cooking their food, if you're under their tutelage, that you have to be able to do what they want you to do. So what I've been able to do over the years that I've been cooking is take a little bit from each chef and kind of, bring it into my own, if you will.
So after culinary school, where did you go?
During culinary school, I started culinary school, I think it was like late June, early July of 2011. And I got my first culinary job at Disney in September. It's like September 18th.
You just dove right into it.
Well, I had no choice. I didn't really want to, but I had no choice because a couple of the students, we had gotten pretty close. And everybody's like, oh, we're going to go and apply at SeaWorld, whatever. So I didn't want to work at SeaWorld. No disrespect to SeaWorld, but it was like Disney. So I was like, they get in the park for free if you work with Disney. Let me go and apply work there. So I got my job there, and that's where my legitimate culinary journey started. Because working there, you get to work with different chefs. They're from all over the world, and you're gonna learn not just American cooking. You're gonna learn everything up under the sun. It's gonna be different techniques from each chef. So
That was at the Yacht and Beach Club. Where,
Yes.
Yeah, you started working,
Yes.
but you also had the opportunity, which is kind of surprising to me, to help develop some of the menu there, which you think you go into like a big company and they're just going to
Listen,
tell you
already done.
this is what you have to do.
I remember that day like it was yesterday because we were on break, me and another coworker, and one of the sous chefs comes outside. He goes, "Hey, Sevarrest, come here. I need you to do me a favor." Now I'm bottom of the totem pole, and I'm not even fully confident in myself as a chef. Like I'm not. I still don't know if I want to do this for a living. And so he goes, "Hey, listen, we're doing a soul food menu, and I need you to sit down and write it."
Wow.
And I look at him like, "You who? Me? Yeah, like get out my face, bro." He's like, No. He's like, "All I want you to do is sit at the table, think about when growing up, think about the food that your grandmother, your mom would cook on a Sunday, put it down." And I'm like, that's a bunch of stuff, chef. So he goes, no, just write everything down. So I wrote everything down, and he kind of helped me kind of piece it together, make it, but we created, I think he called it Soul of a Nation or something like that. But yeah, we wrote that. He said I wrote it, but it was a joint effort.
And what were some of the things on that menu?
Protein-wise, we had fried fish, we had fried chicken, we had pot roast, we had lemon meringue pie, peach cobbler, mac and cheese, Hoppin' John, which is like a black-eyed pea kind of dish, collard greens. It was a ton of stuff.
And then did you also have to teach everyone there how to make all of this?
Teach? No, because like I said, you have people that have been there for 20 plus years that have been cooking long as I'm alive. So I didn't really have to teach anybody anything, but he had me, when we did the menu for the first time, he had me oversee everything to make sure it was like I wanted it to be.
Right. Authentic.
Which I still thought was crazy because I'm like, here I'm 25,
Wow.
26, and I'm trying to tell this 50-year-old They're like, yo, he's been frying chicken just as long as I've been alive. How am I going to tell him how to do it when he's like, Sevarrest, just make sure it looks like it's supposed to. Because like, you know, when we go out here to tell the client about the menu, we're going to say your name. So if it sucks, it's on you, buddy. So,
I mean, is that your final moment? Because you keep saying it. I just started. I wasn't sure. I'm not. Is that the moment where you were like, okay,
I've made it.
I've made it?
No.
No.
No. Because see, at that time it was just it's surface. There's no real. I didn't really do anything. You know, I kind of came up with an idea, wrote it down, and somebody else kind of executed it.
But that's difficult. Not everyone can do that. That's a gift.
You realize that stuff after the fact, and like later on at the moment, I was like, whatever. But like my defining culinary moment was when it was at Yacht Beach, and they had a party for I think it was a couple hundred people, and it was a barbecue party. And this may even tie into this, I don't know. But the chef assistant who was in charge of the party, he did all of the food, and I remember they took the food to the party, but nobody ate anything. Like nothing. They didn't eat anything.
Okay.
And so
That's not good.
Right, yeah.
And me being the young person that I was back then, I kind of poked fun at the guy, like, hey, kind of sucks. How does that make you feel? But like, he got kind of phased, like, well, next time we do a party, you do everything.
Okay.
And found out later it was a total setup, because I'm like, I'll do whatever. And so the sous chef, he was like, hey man, listen, you just agreed to that. We got a party like a week and a half. It's 1,100 people.
No.
And it's exactly, that was my, no. Like, exactly, he was like, yeah, so, and at that time, I'd done anything at barbecue. Nothing. I didn't know how to do anything. It was just, all right, cool. You pour something out of a bottle, you pull something out of a bag, and boom, boom, boom. They was like, no, man, you got to do everything from scratch. So I legitimately touched every protein, every vegetable, everything. So we baked beans, ribs, chicken, mac and cheese, all of that stuff, scratch. Barbecue sauces, scratch. Like gallons upon gallons of barbecue sauce.
Oof.
And I knew I had made it because when they put the food out and the party was over, we had zero food.
Oh, wow.
Like none.
Winner.
So
That's good.
at that point, I remember the executive chef was like, hey, so that barbecue rub you make, we're going to keep that on hand. And so you're going to make that because we're going to use it every time we do barbecue. And I have a picture of my phone on the order form. It says Sevarrest barbecue rub, and it listed. I didn't give them the entire recipe. I had a couple of the ingredients of what consisted of the barbecue rub. But yeah, that was when I was like, okay, cool, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so what did your mother and grandmother think of this when a lot of it is just everything that they taught you is now leading to all of this huge success? Here is their basically Sunday night menu on the menu at Disney.
Well, my grandmother had passed before she got to see any of this in person, but I'm pretty sure she's seen it because I feel her pretty much a lot of the time when I cook. And a lot of those foods that was on that menu, I can't cook because if I do, I'm just gonna cry the whole time. But funny thing about my mom didn't think I could cook for like the longest. Like after I went to culinary school, sure, but before, when it was a hobby, she would drive down from Black and bring me food almost every other weekend. And my girlfriend at the time, who was not my wife, she was like, does your mom know you can cook? No, she doesn't. And if you tell her, she's going to quit coming. So please don't tell her. So she didn't listen to me. And she told my mom, and my mom quit coming. But it's gotten to the point where now my mom, she'll call, hey, Sevarrest, how did you make whatever. And like, was it 2 weeks ago? She was at the house, and I made fry breads, just like this little. Go to Taco Bell, like a gordita, like the little bread that they wrap the gorditas in, something like that. But it's similar. And I was like, yo, you could do this. You could do pizzas with this. You can do, whatever. And so she said, well, how do you make them? So I said, it takes like 5 minutes. So I do it. And she goes, oh, I'm making these in 2 days. And 2 days later, she goes, hey, I'm doing them right now. She sends me the picture. I was like, okay, I felt accomplished because I'm like, okay, my mom don't ask me anything about food because we go back and forth all the time about who's the better cook. If am I or is she? I say that I am, but I know that certain things I can't hold a candle to.
If you ever have a cook-off with her, we want to be
Sign us up. Sign us up, please.
Funny, cool thing about my mom's food is that like she's legitimately self-taught, but like my mom can cook anything. Like she did the food for my wife and I's rehearsal dinner, and even like to this day, like people still talk about how good the food was at my rehearsal that my mom made.
Well, you didn't stop there. So you went from Disney's Yacht and Beach Club I mean, we mentioned a couple of just famous.
Right. How do you
people.
go from working at Disney to then serving Sir Paul McCartney
I
or
did
the
all
Rolling
of that.
Stones?
I did all of that pretty much. I think I was still working at Disney because what happened was there was a company, Untouchables Catering. Eric John Jansen he's the owner of the company. He called the Cordon Bleu and was like, hey, I need a couple people to come and help me to this was before that. This was the Republican National Convention in 2012 is how I got linked up with this guy. He called and they gave him my phone number. And he calls me and I hung up on him the first time. He's like, hey, is this Sevarrest Allen? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, my name is Chef Eric. I'm with Untouchables Catering. I need your help to come and cook at the Republican National Convention. I hung like, who the heck is this guy?
Click.
Yeah. So he calls back and he's like, no, they said that, you'd be able to help. I need 5 people. They said you'd be able to whatever. So I'm like, I can't help you like that, bro. I'm only one person. So he's like, do you know anybody else with your skill set? So I got a friend of mine and we go. And we go from being volunteers to he put me in charge of his hot kitchen and he put her in charge of his cold kitchen. And we were there, a week, roughly 15 to 18 hours a day.
Wow.
And so he told me, he's like, hey man, I do a lot of big concerts in the state. Whenever I have anything big, I'm calling you. So, but
That is awesome.
listen, by this time, I'm okay. I know I'm good. Before he was like, all right, I'm good. I'm okay. Bet he's gonna call. But someone tells you they're gonna call you, you don't expect them to really call you.
Right.
He legitimately calls, and he was like, hey, I got the Rolling Stones. They're gonna be at what was it called at the time? It wasn't called.
Amway?
No. It wasn't the football field.
Citrus Bowl?
Yeah, it was that.
You're making me go back several names.
I'm trying to. Yeah. So they were there.
Yeah.
That big thing
Right,
here in
yes.
Orlando.
They were there, and he's like, "Yeah, you want to come?" He's like, when you get here, we're gonna put you in charge of actually cooking for the band and making sure the band, you're gonna create your own team, but you're ultimately gonna feed the Stones.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. So we get there, we do it. It was rough. It was real rough. But I got a couple volunteers from the Cordon Bleu to come out. Got a couple of the chefs to come out, and we and they gave them tickets to the concert, so they got to see the Stones and all that good stuff too. And the last day there, he was like, "Hey man, listen, they liked your stuff so much. You think you want to come, to another city with us?"
Oh my. Now you're on the tour bus.
And I'm
You're a
like,
groupie.
and I'm like, you serious? He goes, yeah. He's like, well, I was like, where's the next city? Is it in Florida? He goes, no, it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was like, my wife was pregnant at the time. Dude, at any moment, so I was like, hey, listen, do you mind if I go? I was like, I might be gone a week if I'm gone that long. She goes, if I have this baby while you're gone.
You're not gonna hear
so
the
much
end of
trouble.
it.
Right? So
Yeah.
I go, and it was freaking
I
amazing.
love how you still wait.
Yeah,
If I
you know.
have this baby. Okay, I'll go.
Because she
Yeah.
told me that I could go. I was
Okay.
like, are you sure? She said,
Was
"You
it
know."
your first baby?
Yes, that's my,
Oh, wow,
my first,
okay.
first baby. 2015. This
Okay.
all happened in June, July. And so I go, and the cool thing about it was we got to stay in the same hotel as the Stones. We got to do a lot of stuff I don't think regular people get to do at a hotel.
What was that like? Was their hotel surrounded by groupies? Were people trying to get in?
Well, they're older gentlemen, so
It wasn't crazy.
It wasn't too crazy,
Yeah.
but the thing about it was I remember one night we got done. They were rehearsing or something. We got done. We got back to the hotel, and me and a couple of the guys, we just we're dirty, we're just food everywhere. So there's oh, let's go get some drinks, whatever. So they go and get drinks from a convenience store that was up the street. We go back and we go. Now this is a 5-star establishment. Now we're dressed like we don't belong in a 5-star establishment. And so we walk right out. They had a patio, balcony type thing, and it was this lake or something. So we didn't know that it was plush like that. So we go, we're dirty. We sit at the tables. We just kick our feet up, throw our drinks down. We're sitting there, and the manager comes. He goes, "Excuse me, gentlemen, you guys have to leave." I go, "Leave where?" He goes, "Leave the hotel." He's like, "You're not allowed any outside beverage. You're not allowed this. I call Eric. Hey man, listen, they just kicked us out of the hotel. He goes, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Show him your badge. So I pull my badge out. I was like, "Oh man, we're with the Rolling Stones, sir." "Oh, I'm sorry, gentlemen. You guys carry on."
Correct. Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Listen,
You got to use that one.
Listen, I was so taken aback by it because I had never had anything like that happen before. And I was like, so we literally just broke a rule, but you're like, yeah, you're with the Stones, bro. You're good. Go ahead, do your thing. It's okay. Everybody, don't worry about it. Carry on.
Right.
What great stories to have and
No
to tell your
kidding.
kids. And
Listen, and I have a bunch of those, man, just because I feel like I've lived a very charmed culinary life. Because like I said, I've only been cooking 12, 13 years, and I've done way more in that 12
Yeah.
and 13 than most people have done.
In a lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're paying it forward at the Paramore Kids Zone.
Listen, I lucked into that also. I don't know who's gonna see this, but it's all about who you know and not what you know. Because I don't feel like I know enough to be like to do all the things that I've done. I kind of I get the information as I go. But with the Paramore Kids Zone thing, a buddy of mine, I'm gonna say his name just because he's my best friend. He's the best man in my wedding. Mr. Joseph Caesar. He called me. He goes, "Hey man, listen, I want to get these kids some cooking lessons, and I want you to be the one to do it." And I'm like, Joe, I don't me. Because I'm a little rough around the edges, and I like to have fun. I'm a big kid also, so it was like he's like, no, I want you to be the one to do it. And so we kind of talked a little bit about it, and it was very, very humbling to be in a place because like the kids that I serve, and I say I serve them because that's exactly what I do. It was me when I was because was it 12. 11 and 12, 6th and 7th graders, or 7th and 8th graders, I'm sorry, 7th and 8th graders. I got like 15 to 18 kids. But, at that age.
7th and 8th graders?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Well, and at that age, you kind of think you know everything. You don't necessarily
Correct.
want to listen. It's, they're.
And you're not bringing like a video game to them. You're bringing them cooking.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
It's gotta work.
so we started, and it's my fault. I haven't probably taught them nearly as much as I probably could have, but it's just been one of those situations where like I don't want to see them fail at anything, and I don't want them to do anything because at that age, you make a mistake, the world is over, and you don't want to try it anymore, and you don't want to do it. So I've been kind of coddling them a little bit, but we'll get it to the full-fledged point of me being a legit you're not Gordon Ramsay, but like
Yes,
a little
chef.
bit, yeah.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
But the kids I have, they're legitimately interested in food. A lot of them, they're into weird stuff, but they're into food. But it's rewarding. It's very, very rewarding because when I come in and they're like, okay, what are we doing today? Or what are we gonna eat today?
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where I definitely it probably ranks very, very high on the list of things that I've done in my culinary career. It's probably top 2 or 3.
It is a wonderful thing to introduce young kids to the art of cooking and the importance of nutrition and food and how you can take something from, a carrot or whatever and make it into something beautiful and nutritious. And that a lot of kids are never exposed to stuff like that.
And a lot of them, seriously, they're not. And the thing is, they don't like something because they haven't been exposed to it. That's usually the situation because it's like, we don't eat that. Or we don't have that here.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, once you leave wherever you're at right now, they're going to have it wherever you're going. So you may as well familiarize yourself with it. That way you're not looking, totally odd when it presents itself to you.
And showing them that there is this whole career path out there, where you can do so many cool things.
And that's the other thing what I like about what I'm doing with them and just speaking in general, because I used to go and speak to the kids at the Cordon Bleu also, because it's maybe a little serious real quick. Because when it comes to African American males, either you're some type of entertainer or you're a ball player of some sort, and kids really don't know any other success outside of that. So for me to be a chef and to be what some would call a very successful chef, and to show them that, hey man, look, I pretty much grew up how you grew up. Situations are almost identical. Not to say I made it, but I got to a certain point.
You made it.
But I got to a certain point to where I am able to now, show somebody the ropes or give them a little bit of, as they say, game on how to get themselves from over here to over here.
And that's so important for everyone, to figure out, okay, well, how can I go from, being someone who may like to cook in my kitchen to actually having a career? So.
And the thing about that is most people would tell you, oh, I don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
Cooking is one of the easiest things a person can do. The one thing that you need...
Easy for you to say.
Well, the thing about it is, if you guys are saying you don't do it that well and you can't, it's probably because you guys lack patience.
I would agree with that.
And patience is
it's so well.
and patience is one thing that you legitimately need to cook because if it takes 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes.
Yes.
Don't do 3, don't do 2. It takes 5. Just, you have to pace yourself, and you have to want to do it. And
Right.
you have to, just like with anything, you have to find that want or that why. Because if you don't have that, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be
You
successful
have
at
to
it.
want it to be excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to hear the story about Sir Paul McCartney, though. How did you come into contact with him?
Same situation. Untouchables Catering. I can't say that company's name enough or say Eric's name enough, because legitimately in the beginning of my career, anything big that I did had something to do with him. But it was a 1-day thing. He did a concert in Tampa at the Amalie Arena, and he called me at like 8:00 in the morning. He was like, "Hey man, can you get over here by 1?"
You're like, what?
Well, he said get there by 1, and I was like, all right, well, what are we doing? And he goes, oh, we got Paul McCartney, and because I guess he got the call late to come over because he doesn't live in Tampa. He lives kind of, I forget where Eric lives, but it's out in the middle of nowhere somewhere. He has a farm. But he's like, yeah, I need you to get over here. I'm like, all right, cool. So I asked my wife, hey, you mind if I go do this? I promise I'll be back.
She wasn't pregnant,
No,
was she?
no. She wasn't pregnant. She wasn't pregnant. She's like, no, okay, you can go, but just you have to be back same night.
Okay.
No problem. So I go. So I call him like, hey man, I'm on the way. He goes, hey, before you get here, well, Sir Paul's, I think he's like a vegan or whatever the heck it is. He's like, so no animal product, nothing. If you have a leather wallet, leave it in the car. If you have on a belt, pick another one. Like shoes, like wear she's like, because they will turn you away.
Right. So you had to leave your leather chaps at home.
Listen, had to leave him at the house. I think I might have left him in the trunk, but no. So I get there, and it was legit. It was like, he had like crazy security, and that whole animal print thing, it was serious, because as I was walking up to go into the place, they was walking 3 dudes out.
Wow.
Whoa.
But, and the crazy thing is he brought chefs with him. So they were like, they had to have been from the UK because they had accents like they were from over there. But so we cooked everything vegan and vegetarian, like tons and tons of stuff. And it was more so, like I was helping. But he walked through, thanked everybody, hey guys, thank you so very much. And nice guy.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was like, okay, cool. Now, how do I explain this to people? Because like, who's gonna believe that? Like, oh yeah, but Paul McCartney, yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's
This guy. This
Yeah.
guy.
yeah. But it's like I said, it's one of those situations where like, it could have been anybody. And I just felt like I said, I've lived a very, very charmed culinary life, because like I said, it's it's situations like that to where like, most people can't say that they've done something like that.
Yeah, well, it seems like you don't turn away an opportunity. A challenge, you
I
take
try
that,
not
you take
to.
that challenge on.
I try not to,
Yeah.
because every opportunity usually leads to another one. And if I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to like my profession.
Right.
My outside life is, I live in a gray area. And my wife hates that. But like when it comes to what I like this, it's black and white. It's right or wrong, and that's how I do it. And every opportunity, I'm like, okay, cool, you're gonna get 100% the best of me, point blank, period. And if it's not, if my best isn't your best, please tell me what your best is, and I'll do that.
Wow.
So right now people can hire you for special events,
Kitchen
private
savior.
parties, and that's what you're specializing in Central Florida. Unless you're with the Rolling Stones and you're traveling.
Yeah, can you pencil us in?
And meal prep. At the current moment, I got a website being built, because I was telling Tiffany that I've been trying not to publicize myself, because everything I've done so far has been word of mouth.
Yeah.
I have Instagram, I have Facebook, Kitchen Savior for both. But I try to stay low key, because it's not that I'm afraid of the notoriety. I just feel like for me, any notoriety that I get, I have to tell somebody else about who helped me get to that particular point, because I feel like nothing I do is solely 100% me.
Where did the name Kitchen Savior come from?
Okay, so that's a good story. Because the whole point of me going to culinary school was for me to own my own business. I never really want to work for anybody, like in a restaurant. I mean, I have, but the point was to go learn how to cook, be a personal chef. That was around the whole Food Network Star times. That's how everybody was trying to be a famous chef. So I was like, okay, cool. What kind of name can I give myself? And I don't market myself as a faith-based business, but I am 100% in the Christian faith. 100%. I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ 1,000,000%. So I'm sitting there and I'm praying like, God, please, like, give me something. And what does he do? My wife walks in the room.
Of course she is.
Hey, I know you're thinking of names for your business. I think it should have something to do with our initials. And I'm like, why would, you're not even going to be doing anything, but why are you? And so we had this insignia when we got married. It was like K and S. I'm like, okay, cool. If it's a K, because my wife's name is Kim. So I was like, if it's a K, okay, kitchen has to be the first name, because what else am I going to put?
Yeah, kangaroo.
Yeah, something.
What are you gonna
So, excuse me. So I write down kitchen, and I forget a bunch of the names I put with S, but none of them made sense. And like the very last name I wrote was like Savior. So I wrote it, I'm like, kitchen sounds like, but that kind of has a nice little ring to it. And so I call it, because this was like at midnight, like legit. It's like, nobody should be up. So we're up. And I'm like, yo, what do you think of this? She goes, I like it.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not just going to go off of you. And it's like I said, it's a little after midnight, so I randomly text 20 of my friends. Hey, listen, I just came up with a book. What do you think?
That friend. Yeah.
At that time, I was like, I liked it. So I wanted legit confirmation. I didn't want to sleep on it. And so I, like 20 some odd people, out of those 20 some odd people, believe it or not, like 15 to 16 of them actually got back with me immediately. Half of them hated it. Half of them liked it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Out of the people that hated it, who do I really like or care about their opinion?
There you go.
And out of the people, I'm like, okay, cool. So we went with it. And it's been it. And every time now that someone sees it and they see my logo and they say, oh man, that's amazing, yeah. And initially it'll start a conversation. Like, oh, are you a Christian? Are you a believer? And yes, I am. And I just so happen to do food. But there's your story.
Can we try this?
Yeah, why not?
Yes. Where can people find you if they're interested in meal prep, if they're interested in personal chef?
Kitchen Savior on Facebook, KITCHENSAVIR.
Oh man, I'm so excited for this.
They'll see the logo when it pops up. Same on IG. I am on both of those entities regularly, so you're more than likely going to hear from me immediately.
So if we have a party and we'd like...
Now, when you say we.
Yeah.
Lisa and I are hosting a party. So
Is there a size limit or minimum, maximum requirement?
At the moment, because I'm a one-man wrecking crew, I usually try to cap it at like 100, 150 people.
Oh no, I don't have 150 people.
No, we don't have that many friends.
If it's smaller, then
eat
yeah.
for 150 people.
But no.
Oh my gosh, this looks so good.
Yeah, then email is chefsevarrest@gmail.com. I have a website coming that's in the works, so you guys will be.
Cheers.
She got the full bite. Let's see.
That is amazing. I love the two sauces. That's like a Carolina sauce, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is like the more vinegar, mustard type base. I've got to go back for more.
Have some of that sauce.
So, when you come up with new concepts, are your children, your wife, your guinea pig, who tells you, you know what, this is great, or...
My wife and my children are my guinea pigs. They're the only people who have seen me fail miserably at cooking.
Give us a fail. What did you do that was a fail?
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Is there one thing you cannot, like you just have tried, but you just are not satisfied? Is there any type of food that you just...
No, because I'm not a quitter.
Okay.
Let's see.
What is the easiest thing you think for people like Candace and I to make?
The easiest? It's everything. Nothing is difficult.
Just have patience, Lisa. Right?
Because see the thing, like I said, the thing about cooking is it's patience, but there's also a want. So, and you think about a recipe, right? I tell people a recipe is just a template. It's it's directions to get you to where you're supposed to be. So it's like, okay, this is how you start. This is your end point. Everything in the middle, yeah, you could do it this way. It's like directions driving somewhere. Yeah. If you make a wrong turn, or if you kind of keep straight when you're supposed to go left, what does Siri tell you? Rerouting. So you just reroute. Okay, cool. So if you don't like that you're supposed to turn left on whatever road and you want to go straight because you can still get there, that's what you do. So if you don't like garlic and you want to put more onion or you want to put more something else in it, you do that. But unless you're going to, make a recipe true to form, doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. You've inspired me. I might cook tonight. I might. If there's one person that you want to cook for, who would it be?
Oh.
Anybody in the world.
I'm not even gonna lie. This is. If I could cook, like, do they have to be famous?
It doesn't have to be famous.
Okay, so legitimately, just because this person has never gotten to taste my food, I would, if my grandmother could be alive,
Wow.
that's the person. Hands down.
Good answer. That's a good one.
That's
That
wonderful.
was a great, you almost got me to cry a little bit.
Oh, we don't want that.
That was not expecting that,
Florida
but
foodie,
that would be the person simply because it would mean a lot to hear her opinion.
I think I'd know her opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she would be very, very, very proud
Yeah.
of everything you've done. Yeah, and continue to do. Thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us on
ma'am.
Florida
Thank you,
Foodie.
thank
This
you.
was fun. This was delicious. Check him out. He's amazing.
I mean, the moral of the story here at the end of the day, your wife was right.
You know what? I'm not gonna say that. I'll agree with you, but I'm not gonna say it. No.
Good answer. Good answer.
My wife is right a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Sevarrest Allen, it was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, dig in.
Thank you for listening to Florida Foodie. We'd also like to thank our guest, Sevarrest Allen. You can find his business, Kitchen Savior, on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to follow Lisa Bell online. Search Lisa Bell News on Facebook and Instagram, or Lisa Bell News 6 on Twitter. You can find Candace Campos on social media as well. She's on Twitter, just search @Candace News 6, and on Facebook, search Candace Campos News 6. Also, a big thank you to our technical producers, Derek Mosier and Ryan Helly, our post-production audio engineer, Chris Flora, and our directors, Rich Burns and Bob Myers. I'm the show's producer, Thomas Mates. Please take the time to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you stream podcasts. And you can find videos of all of our podcasts on clickorlando.com and on YouTube. Just search for Florida Foodie.